Live happy and healthy, my brother. Live happy and healthy, my sister.
Have you ever felt so tired on a Monday morning that you were wondering whether the weekend actually happened? Or have you ever been so tired that your eyes were literally stinging? Or have you ever been so sleep deprived and exhausted that you were involved in a road accident? I have a yes answer to each of these three questions. Indeed, on a particular occasion, I was so exhausted that I drove into a pole and people gathered around me, and I didn't realize I'd had an accident. It was that bad. Last week we talked about knowing your numbers, and one of those numbers was how much sleep you have every day. Today we are going to take a deep dive into understanding why we should stop, why you and I should stop cheating on sleep, and how to get out of the sleep debt that we have incurred. What does it mean to cheat on sleep? To cheat on sleep is actually to cut out sleep in an attempt to achieve other things that you consider more important. And this has become very common in our fast-paced world, even in children. You and I have what is called a biological clock, which is a group of cells in the brain that help us to achieve good sleep. These cells produce a hormone that is called melatonin, which makes you drowsy at certain times of the day, usually at night into the morning hours. And then later in the day, sometime around 1 p.m., between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., another bout of melatonin is released, and then you feel sleepy again. Unlike what most people think, you don't actually shut down when you go to sleep. Instead, your brain and body are active, doing a lot of housekeeping work. A publication by the US Department of Health and Human Services dated 2011 reported that when you sleep, pathways for learning, memories, and new insights are created. And apart from being created, these pathways work better when you get adequate sleep regularly. There's evidence that a good night's sleep makes way for inspired creativity. And this reminds me of a scripture in Isaiah chapter 50 verse 4, which says, "He wakes me up morning by morning. He awakens my ear to hear as the learned." There are publications in high impact journals showing how sleep enables human beings to function better. For example, Wagner and colleagues in 2004 published their research findings in Nature. That Nature is the name of a journal, and their findings showed that people, their participants who had 8 hours of nighttime sleep, performed better than those who stayed awake to perform the same tasks. In a more recent study that was published in Nature Neuroscience by Zhu and his colleagues, the brain has been likened to a computer which needs to reboot, and a good night's sleep is required if the brain, your brain and my brain, must function optimally. Deep sleep promotes healthy growth in children. And in both children and adults, deep sleep enables tissue repair. The release of sex hormones, which are required for healthy puberty and fertility, is also promoted by deep sleep. Indeed, some miscarriages have been associated with sleep disturbances in people who do shift duties. When we are able to achieve deep sleep, we enable our bodies to produce chemical substances that help us to fight infection. Leptin is a hormone which alerts your brain when you have had enough food. Leptin levels are lower when you do not get enough sleep. What does this mean? This means that you are more likely to eat more than you require when you don't get adequate sleep. Another hormone is ghrelin, which stimulates appetite. The levels of ghrelin in your body increase when you don't sleep enough. What does this then mean? If the hormone that tells your brain that you have had enough food reduces when you do not get enough sleep, and the hormone that stimulates appetite increases when you also do not get enough sleep, it is clear that not getting enough sleep is setting up yourself to increased risk of obesity. Apart from being a risk for obesity, inadequate sleep is also a risk for depression and substance abuse. There are different stages of sleep. I do not want to bore you with the complexities of the various stages of sleep. But in the early stages of sleep, what happens is that your heart rate reduces, slows down, your muscles relax. Sometimes you can even feel this happen. And very importantly, your blood pressure drops. When you do not get adequate sleep, this normal dip in blood pressure that is associated with the early stages of sleep does not happen, and that increases the risk of hypertension, heart diseases, and stroke. As we mentioned in a previous episode, lack of sleep is associated with the release of stress hormones, which increase blood pressure and the risk of heart diseases. I'm sure practically everybody watching or listening to this episode is familiar with the many things that go wrong when we do not get adequate sleep. Acutely, lack of adequate sleep causes poor concentration, confusion, bad mood, and very importantly, the responses of the brain and body to challenges is much slower, and this can account for a lot of home accidents, workplace accidents, and even road traffic accidents like the one I just described. Unfortunately, this is also sometimes associated with loss of lives. What is the bottom line? The bottom line is that creativity, productivity, and health are affected negatively when we don't get enough sleep. And this is actually paradoxical. What I mean by that is that it is inconsistent with the very reasons for which a lot of people are sacrificing, or better put, cheating on sleep. Instead of the gains that you seek to get in cheating on sleep, outrightly sacrificing quality sleep for the other things that you consider more important, that action actually sets you up, unfortunately, for an increased risk of hypertension, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, infections, and even cancers. Again, this reminds me of Psalm 127 verse 2, which makes so much sense in this context. It says, "It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for he, God, gives his beloved sleep." In the United States, it is estimated that chronic lack of sleep is associated with 16 billion US dollars in healthcare costs and 50 billion US dollars in lost productivity every year. We expect as we grow older, even when we stay healthy, to experience some changes in sleep. And some of these changes include the fact that healthy older people tend to take more naps during the day than younger people. In addition, the total sleep time is reduced in older life. Something else is about the efficiency of sleep. And what we mean by this is if you take the number of hours that you actually sleep when you get to lie on your bed to sleep and divide it by the total number of hours that you were in bed for the purpose of sleeping, the fraction you get multiplied by 100 should be equal to or greater than 85% for us to say that sleep efficiency is normal. In older life, sleep efficiency gradually reduces over time. Another metric with which we characterize sleep in anyone is sleep maintenance. That is the ability to stay asleep, which we measure with the wake after sleep time. Now, what happens is that as we get older, from the age of 30 years, the wake after sleep time increases by 10 minutes every 10 years until you attain the age of 60. And after that, there is no demonstrable change. Whereas I have just spoken about the sleep changes that occur in older persons who are fortunate to stay healthy, we do know that up to 67% of older persons live with multiple chronic diseases. And the relationship between sleep and multiple chronic diseases has already been established, which is that chronic sleep deprivation predisposes to development of chronic diseases like hypertension, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancers, in addition to predisposing to infections. However, the flip side of the coin is that people who live with multiple chronic diseases experience physical, mental, emotional, or psychological and other challenges that also disturb their sleep. Their sleep is also disturbed by the very treatments that are geared towards treating those conditions. And in addition, there are other causes of sleep disturbances that older persons who are not aging successfully may experience. There are two key takeaways I would like to share. Number one, cheating on sleep causes you harm every day, over time, and it takes its toll. Number two, prioritizing sleep is not something anyone else can do for you. I want to advise, in spite of all our good intentions, please, let's not overestimate our own importance. If anything happens to you today as a result of chronically cheating on sleep, life is going to continue. So if you're like me and you have a sleep debt to pay, I would like to share some of the tips that I am now practicing, which are working well for me. Number one, have a routine. Set a time for going to sleep and for waking up. And then during the day, ensure that you spend 30 minutes to 1 hour in sunshine, under the sun, so that you can get the benefit of good sleep at night. And if you must nap, please don't take your naps after 3 p.m. so that you do not suffer from trouble getting to sleep at night. Also, please intentionally create time to unwind when you get back home after a long day's work. Choose something that makes you happy, preferably something that makes you and others happy. Learn to or practice the good habit of having a bath to enable you relax before you finally go to sleep. And don't eat large meals or drink large drinks before you go to bed, because indigestion and the need to pass urine may then disturb your sleep. For those who drink alcohol, please avoid heavy alcohol use before you go to sleep. Also avoid caffeine and nicotine. To create a good sleep environment is essential if you would have a good sleep. And it doesn't necessarily need to be so expensive. You need a clean, comfortable room and bed. And you need to be able to put out the lights and shut out the lights coming in from outside. I would like to say a word concerning those who receive hospital care and to plead with healthcare providers that there should be some sleep time routines, like putting out unnecessary lights, leaving only emergency lights open. And for sunshine, nothing stops us from supporting the ill people that we are taking care of to get some exposure to sunshine every single day. We also need to shut out distractions that come from clocks, phones, laptops, TVs, etc., so that we can have good sleep. And if you are taking medications that disturb your sleep, you need to have a conversation with your doctor to see whether those medications can be changed or whether their scheduling can be adjusted so that you can get better sleep. And just in case you wake up at night and you cannot sleep, please don't lie down worrying yourself sick about why you cannot sleep. Instead, get up and do something that gives you joy, and you'll be surprised that you will feel relaxed enough to go back to sleep. However, if the sleep problems persist, you need to discuss with a doctor so that you can be properly evaluated. I'm hoping that I'll have more opportunities to talk about other aspects of sleep in some future episodes. In the meantime, I want to thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed, I would very much appreciate your subscribing to the channel. And I would ask that you kindly share and hit the notification bell so that you stay updated on all our videos. For more resources, please go to our website, which is aituaje.com, aituaje.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Music. We value your feedback, and I would appreciate it if you would leave a comment after watching each of our videos. Look forward to reaching you next time.